Well, so the first thing to say would be that it's not a foliar disease, so we cannot spray fungicides. It will not work. What we are seeing on the leaves is actually the toxin that is creating this necrosis, these symptoms that we see. But the actual infections are occurring in the roots on the ground. So far in the market, we have some seed treatments that are labeled. It's not a perfect control, but it's helping to suppress the disease and may have some effect on the disease progress over the years, right? This is a pathogen that can remain in the soil for at least 7 years. We know that because it's a popular disease nowadays in Japan, for example. So they have done good research. So there is some information that we can take. I have some pots in our lab that were inoculated with the pathogen 4 years ago, and we put soybeans there, and we got very good disease. So we know that it's a pathogen that will remain in the soil for long periods. You said that it's new here, but it's not new in the U.S. It was very popular like 30, 40 years ago, like in Louisiana, Mississippi, that area. So we have also good research that was done at that time in that area. So we can take some information to do some practices, but in the meantime, we are trying to validate this practice here in the Midwest to have solid data about what we recommend.
Now, you said a while ago there were some treatments. Are we talking about Saltro and Alivo and those types of things?
Yeah, I think so far we have only 3 products in the market that are registered. Saltro and Alivo are 2 of them.
Okay, yeah. And so it's really a seed treatment is about the best way to handle it then?
Yes, so far is what we have. Then we need to try to avoid the spread of the disease. So if you have the disease in one plot only, you may keep it and plant it at the end of the season. So then you don't go with the same equipment to other fields taking the pathogen. And then crop rotation was recommended at that time, but we don't know the actual impact of that practice because this is a tough pathogen that can remain in the soil for many years. So we don't know actually the real impact of this practice. I know that some farmers are going to continuous corn because the disease got out of control. So we may get some information in the future about if this is helping at least, right?
Now, you're working closely with the Illinois Soybean Association. I'm sure some checkoff funding and for your research. What research do you have going on? What sort of projects are you looking at that the soybean checkoff is trying to help cure this problem?
Yeah, they are great supporters. We have field trials where we are trying almost every product in the market. If we combine our program here in Illinois with Dr. Bradley in Kentucky and Darcy Telenko in Indiana, probably we are testing all the products in the market. We are testing chemicals, biologicals. We are trying seed treatments, in-furrow treatment, 2x2 treatments. We are trying everything. So we have a lot of field trials that are being supported by the Illinois Soybean Association. I have other projects. They are supporting also a project where we are trying to identify the disease, the hot spots in the field. When this is a disease that is patchy, so we are trying to see where exactly are these hot spots in the field using satellites. So then if we have an in-furrow treatment, we know exactly where we need to apply the fungicide. And we are very excited about this because this was the only strategy that they use in the southern part of the U.S. and that was able to keep the disease really under control, was doing this in-furrow treatments. So we are running trials to see if the in-furrow treatments are better or can be used also together with some seed treatments. So those are other trials. And then we are trying also some micronutrients, nanomaterials to see if they help in controlling the disease.
Now, you said it's not a fungus, so you can't put a fungicide on it, but you said it's a disease.
It's a fungus.
It is
It's a fungus, but it's not foliar. I mean, doesn't penetrate the leaves. No.
Are there any genetic lines that have some increased resistance to something like this?
Yeah, so Dr. Steve Claff at the USDA, he is on campus. We are actually in the same building, so he is running a lot of experiments in the greenhouse trying to identify lines that might be less susceptible to the disease. And then we are doing I know that the industry is doing some work trying to test the varieties. We will do something at least to do as we can, as much as we can, trying to see some varieties if we see some differences. But so far we don't have very solid data, only more than some observational data that we saw during the season, but hopefully we can find some less susceptible varieties. That please, if you think that you have the disease, send us samples. Send the samples to my lab. Send samples to the plant clinic, mainly the plant clinic. They will do the right diagnosis. It's just, I think, it's maybe $20, something like that per sample, and in 2-3 days you will have the correct diagnosis, because this disease can be misidentified. So there are other diseases like sudden death syndrome that will create the similar symptoms, foliar symptoms. So we can get confused very easily. So
Quickly eliminate that one anyway.
yeah, so send the samples, check if you have the disease, and if you can share the location. We are trying to keep track of the disease. In the maps, we highlight entire counties, but it doesn't mean that it's widespread in all the counties. We have counties where we receive much more samples, so it's more prevalent in some counties than in other counties. So it's important if you can share the location, we can take a look with the satellite, see how bad is the disease, and we keep the information as confidential always.